A newcomer, the Wesleyan Cardinals, champions of the NESCAC, ranked number 9 coming into the NCAA tournament. They seek their first ever championship and their first ever appearance. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Ralph Bjornchik, joined by the former Johns Hopkins midfielder Mark Dixon. Mark, we have a team with tremendous championship experience, tremendous talent that is battle-tested. Wesleyan on this stage for the very first time playing their unique style.
And whenever you throw those variables into the equation, first time in a national championship game for Wesleyan, first time in an environment this big, you worry about the nerves and the emotion. Salisbury has been here so many times. It's old hat, but this is a younger Salisbury Seagull team than has been in the national championship game in years past.
And for Salisbury, they got it done getting off to a slow start, Mark. 3-2 on the season. Yes, it was a pair of overtime losses, but then they got thumped at number 2 York of Pennsylvania back on March 24th. So they were, at least on Salisbury expectations, reeling a bit at 6-3. But Jim Berkman has said all week in his 30th season, he hasn't maybe had a team he's been more proud of and had a team that has improved more than this team has to get back to this national championship game.
And they had their bumps and bruises early in the season, and they've righted the ship, and they're back in the national championship game. Take the second round Christopher Newport victory. That was a 6-7 goal comeback by the Salisbury Seagulls that really tested their mettle and then got them prepared for tight games against Dickinson and Gettysburg. So you're going to have those bumps in the road early in the season with the younger team, but maybe no coach in Division III better equipped to turn it around than Jim Berkman.
And Jim Berkman's team has 12 players that were on the field in last year's national championship game win over RIT, impressively 15-7, and 4 of which that were a part of the 2016 national championship game where they took care of a high-scoring Tufts team 14-13. And meanwhile, their challenger today, the Wesleyan Cardinals out of nearby Middletown, Connecticut. Last year was supposed to be the dream season. They were cruising along. They had a 20-game winning streak, but they got, we should say, just didn't play to their level of ability. 22-9 last year against RIT in the NCAA semifinals. They were missing their 3 starting defensemen that day, but they play a terrific 3 backer zone. John Rayburn, his 22nd season, has his team back again, knocking on the door. This time, they're in the final.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Yale and Albany in yesterday's Division I semifinals. Andy Shea, 15 years at Yale. Scott Marr, 18 years at Albany. Rome wasn't built in a day, and this Wesleyan lacrosse program certainly has not been built over 22 years over John Raba.
Salisbury being the yellow on yellow. Wesleyan, red on red. P.J. Colello's our referee with Dan Ferry, Tim Chechia, and John Talmo. And Wesleyan captures the opening faceoff. And their attack unit led by Harry Stanton, a third-team All-American and a 4-year starter, joined by Ronan Jacoby and Carter Hawthorne. This is a senior-laden team. Pair of seniors in the first midfield, Taylor Gesquire, Cole Turpin, and junior Christian Barker. Man-to-man defensive look to start out here for Salisbury. It is a quite brisk 58 degrees at the start. There's a great shot, right-handed dodge. Taylor Gesquire starts the scoring in the national championship game.
Nothing fancy at all about this Gesquire goal. He gets matched up on the defense of number 19 in goal, Troy Miller. And Miller was very aggressive, and he just overcommitted. Gesquire uses his size, his body to get inside of that defense, gets a run at the goaltender, and just sticks it high to high. Great individual effort by Gesquire.
So for Taylor Gesquire, he comes to Wesleyan all the way from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. He's a 3-year starter, an honorable mention All-American, second-teamer last year. And that's his 41st. So the goal comes unassisted here for the Cardinals. They've won 4 in a row, and they had big expectations on them, Mark. Preseason number 2 off of last year's disappointment. But as John Raba said, we've used that experience, that memory this week, and they're also healthy as well. Last year, they were missing their 3 starting defensemen. Another face-off win as Wesleyan able to deal it back to sophomore Otto Bohan.
Well, we talked about the nerves and the potential emotion for Wesleyan. Nothing like winning the first 2 face-offs to get them settled down. And then, of course, that Gesquire goal. That'll do a lot to allay any anxiety that Wesleyan may be able to or may be dealing with. And quite honestly, they've come out flying and very aggressive.
Wesleyan will dodge against the pole here outside. This is Christian Barker back to the first offensive midfield. Harry Stanton from New Canaan, Connecticut. His older brother also played for this program and was a talented player, but he is going to shatter records. The program's all-time leading goal scorer takes it inside. He got it in and in tight against Brandon Warren. It was a 6'1 sophomore from Forest Hill, Maryland, the first-year starter in goal for Salisbury.
And you look at the matchup, 42 Jeremiah LeClaire, 6'2", guarding the 5'8 Stanton. So Stanton using that smaller stature to gain leverage and get inside.
Christian Barker, he's from Centennial, Colorado. Gesquire, his game has developed a lot, particularly his shot. We saw that on the opening goal. Gesquire against the D-Midi. Got it down low, in tight, Ronan Jacoby, and the ball stayed out. Brandon Warren comes up with it. We get the whistle from P.J. Colello, though. It's coming and will stay with the Cardinals.
Ball hit the side of the net. Goalie picked it up, and then the defender shoved the Wesleyan player into the crease. That's interference.
Stanton again, and Warren may have gotten a piece of it. Well, as John Reba said, that among the great things Harry Stanton does, he can turn the corner extremely well from terrific angles. Not big at about 5'7", and that's maybe the only thing that kept him from being at the Division I level, playing yesterday or tomorrow rather than today.
Yeah, he's got incredible quickness and great body control. I've been impressed with his touches so far in this game. Right when you look at the name Harry Stanton, you go right to the actor, Harry Dean Stanton.
Exactly.
You start
But he is a fine actor in this show that Wesleyan hopes concludes with the perfect ending.
It's like that's a classic college lacrosse name, Harry Stanton. A lot of class in there.
Right down the middle, walking in is Christian Barker off the face dodge, and Wesleyan 2 for 2. They've grabbed the early lead on Salisbury, and they have yet to have to play any defense.
They've won both face-offs, and Gesquire beats the short stick on the first goal. This one, Barker just runs by the long stick defense of Corey Berry. So much like Gesquire, just ahead of steam, feet moving, lefty gets right down the middle. Right down Patriot Place and sticks it past Brandon Warren. Great individual effort by Christian Barker.
The Cardinals, such a veteran group, 18-3 this season. Among their losses, 12-9 to Tufts in the NESCAC championship game. But they had a great regular season, going 9-1 in the NESCAC, and certainly the best league in Division III. Another face-off win, Zach Zavalik, a sophomore out of Glastonbury, Connecticut, and the Cardinals will have possession again.
Yeah, right now, Wesleyan just owning the face-off dot. The first and that last face-off cleanly won. The second one in the middle of that was a 50-50 ground ball that Wesleyan came up with. So they're winning the face-offs in every way, shape, and form.
Again, they'll dodge against the D-Middies outside. Salisbury has always been known for having terrific D-Middies. A couple of years ago, having the National Player of the Year at D-Middy in Preston Dabbs. But the Seagulls, winners of 14 in a row, have yet to have the ball. And they look to dodge from the wing. And they'll deal it back to Carter Hawthorne, a junior from Massapequa on Long Island. Already the program's leader in assist. His shot in tight, wide of Warren. And they'll get back up here. Hawthorne's been a starter since midway through his freshman year. First all-time with 131 assists, and he still has a whole year to go. Stanton trying to get topside. Shoots a bouncer and beats Warren. It's 3-0 Cardinals. The dream start for Wesleyan.
Another dodge, another one-on-one. It's Stanton, and he recognized the matchup. It's a short stick, Parker Stevens, and for a guy like Stanton that gets beat on by long poles for a living, he was licking his chops at this individual matchup, the short stick. And what I like about Stanton is he just lowers his shoulder and he steps away from the defensive pressure applied by the short stick and is able to whip it past Brandon Warren. I think if you're Salisbury, there's two concerns right now. One, you're losing your individual matchups. Two, your goaltender is yet to make a save.
Stanton with number 59 on the year. His 223rd, he has shattered the all-time record. Their second all-time point getter with 285, and someone that John Raba describes, he always wants to get better. And a face-off win, Salisbury, Brett Merlamphy. He is their second face-off man, as they will alternate between him and TJ Logue every two. So now the Seagulls have the ball for the first time, trailing 3-0. Three first-year starters on the attack, all sophomores. Griffin Maroney, Pierre Armstrong, and Josh Melton. And Jim Berkman will use two sets of midfields and bounce senior Garrett Reynolds back and forth between the two.
That's a big face-off win for Salisbury, their first offensive touch. We saw yesterday in the Division I semis, Yale getting out to a 7-0 lead. And then,
that shot,
Duke was up 6-0 before Maryland could respond, and Salisbury now trying to get into a rhythm offensively.
Mark, that shot hit the pipe. Corey Gwynn on the look, hitting the pipe to the left of Otto Bohan. Salisbury will keep it, working against this vaunted Wesleyan zone that John Raba has played nearly his entire 22-year career.
You can see the free safety, if you will, in the middle of it all is Chad Malinowski. He's the floater. He's the guy that is probably communicating and dictating how this defense is aggressive, and now he's replaced in the middle. So it's almost like they're on a string. One guy goes to the outside, he pulls the other guy in.
Some have described it, Mark, like a backer zone that we see on the women's or high school girls side.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. It tempts you to dodge, and then you got that free safety just waiting to slide and get into your gloves.
Popping outside was Emery Wangus. Now the wing dodge. And excellent defense again being played on Zach Pompey. And here's a stall warning against Salisbury as they look to probe. They've already gotten a quality look from Corey Gwynn. Gwynn, their leading scorer, did not play last week against Gettysburg due to a concussion, but back today. Josh Melton, feed inside, intercepted, and picked off out of the air by Ben Shively. An honorable mention All-American named earlier this week. And the top long pole for Wesleyan, but they can't clear. On the pickup behind, Pierre Armstrong.
Great defensive stand by Wesleyan, but you got to be able to get it from defense to offense. And this might be a backer zone, but the pressure on the perimeter necessitated the shot clock and earned that shot clock against Salisbury.
Here's Gwynn. And Salisbury feels they have terrific shooters, Pompey being one of them. Reynolds on the second midfield. Well, Wesleyan this season, 9.2 goals against allowed. A strong number, but they just gave up a big number to RIT in a 1918 finalist. In the crease is Salisbury. They get one shot, they hit the post, and Wesleyan gathers it back.
Getting used to this Wesleyan defense is going to take a minute or two for Salisbury. It's one thing to practice against it in a skeleton situation in preparation, and it's also another thing to watch it on film. But it's going to take a little bit of time to figure it out, where are the pockets, where are the good angles to shoot from. But you got to give Wesleyan credit. Two terrific defensive sequences to start this game.
Now back to work, back behind Cole Turpin. Best friends with Stanton since they were in 5th grade. The step down, it's Hawthorne. 4-0 Wesleyan. Carter Hawthorne.
Crowd here loves it. Got a lot of red over in the far bleachers. This is just too easy if you're Salisbury. Nothing fancy about it. Just a dodge behind the cage, a quick double, and they leave Hawthorne wide open and a worm burner. Low to low past Brandon Warren. Again, I'm going to point to the fact that Warren has yet to make a save. He surrendered 4 consecutive tallies, and he's not even getting close to making a stop.
25th for Hawthorne, Cole Turbin on the assist. And you wonder, will Jim Berkman go to the timeout? And he will. Wesleyan leading 4-0. And as we came into the game wondering about what kind of factor experience would have in this one, Mark. Salisbury has 12 players that played in last year's championship game. Wesleyan, their hearts broken last year. It clearly has not been a factor at all.
It hasn't, and that was a concern for both Yale and Duke yesterday. Yale first championship weekend experience since 1990, and then of course you had Duke first time since 2014, and both those teams came out like gangbusters, playing aggressive. That's exactly what Wesleyan, that is what they're doing right now. They're taking the action to Salisbury, even on defense in that backer zone. They're just being incredibly physical, very aggressive on the perimeter, and making life incredibly difficult for the Seagulls.
And Wesleyan comes off of a game where they built a 17-9 lead before a furious late-game rally by Coach Kuhn's RIT Tigers. They had to hold on for a 19-18 win. Something like 8 goals scored in about 7.5 minutes by that tremendous RIT program. So the Cardinals have been here before, just last week, building up a great lead.
And that, look, that's a learning experience, and that's a hump that they had to get over. You talk a lot of times about the great programs and what they need to do to establish that championship identity. I mean, you think about Salisbury in their 18th Division III championship game. They had to beat Hobart back in 1994, the kingpin of Division III. Up north, the best team has been RIT, and Wesleyan was finally able to get over that hurdle. And that is a huge, not only accomplishment on paper, but mentally. That is a huge accomplishment and something that you can clear and cross it off the list.
Shots are 8-1 Wesleyan, and 5 of them have been on goal. They have credited Brandon Warren, Mark, by the way, with 1 save. Face-offs are 3 out of 4 for Wesleyan.
If he made a save, I don't remember it. But, hey, I trust the statisticians.
TJ Logue, the junior from Newark, Delaware, now in for Salisbury to face off against Zach Zavalik. And Logue pushes it forward. Logue comes up with it. Logue then held on to it, and the ball loose. Able to escape and grab it is Alo Bohan. So despite the faceoff win, Wesleyan will get the ball back.
Again, pressure, aggression, physicality. Wesleyan dominating in all 3 of those categories so far. The other thing to notice is the crowd for Wesleyan looks about twice as large as Salisbury. They're very vocal. They're very energetic. They've had a lot to cheer about, and they almost seem to be willing, this Wesleyan team, to act the part of the bully and the aggressor in this game so far.
Wesleyan out of Middletown, Connecticut, just outside of New Haven. It's about a 2-hour ride south of Foxborough. And they've been waiting for this a long time. As John Reba said, maybe the biggest day in Wesleyan athletics history. They thought they might have one of their most famous alum, Bill Belichick, in the house today, but unfortunately, Coach Belichick of the Patriots, a former Wesleyan lacrosse captain and football player, as this pass is knocked down by Will Nowesnick, 2-time first-team All-American for Salisbury. But Coach Belichick could not be here, but he's texted all week with John Reba. They always communicate about his thoughts and wishing him well, as Harry Stanton got to the front and missed a good look.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that you have a coach like Bill Belichick, who's won 5 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, such a huge part of the lacrosse community, and lacrosse such a huge part of his life.
Ronan Jacoby's shot may have been blocked, and on the push, Salisbury. The Seagulls have hit a pipe, but it is an offense that's scoring nearly 14 goals a game against a great schedule. Winners of 14 in a row. Second midfield now for Coach Jim Berkman, with Austin Short coming on, as well as Garrett Reynolds, who's gotten a full, healthy week of practice. And they wondered what kind of difference that could make. Reynolds is, especially early in the season, looked like an All-American before 3 separate injuries slowed and limited him. Melton back behind Pierre Armstrong. And good aggression there outside by this Wesleyan defense. Melton can look for a cutter. Griffin Maroney. From the wing, letting it rip. Bohan making the save. He makes the stop on Garrett Reynolds. The ground ball dug out by the Seagulls.
Big stop, nasty shot.
Reynolds is a senior honorable mention All-American. Still has 38 goals despite not being healthy much of the season. This pass up top deflecting. Austin Short is able to regather, and Salisbury will have another opportunity. Now more room and time. Up top, the shot stopped by Bohan. On the shooter, he makes the save, and Wesleyan continues to stifle Salisbury. They've got the ball, and they look for the clear.
Well, there's a couple things. One, by playing the zone and packing it in, they're not allowing Salisbury to run by their defense, and they're keeping the shots to long distance. Great save by Bohan.
And now up ahead, that shot will not count. That's Andres Rodriguez on the push, but Wesleyan got the timeout called. Oh, what could have been.
Wow. I bet Coach Rabo wishes he could have that one back. I understand why he would call the timeout, but from our vantage point, you could see the leverage and the advantage that the long pole for the Cardinals had. But hey, this is the national championship game. You're up 4-0. You got all the momentum going your way. Why risk a turnover? And just let's get the ball in 6-on-6, and let's see if we can get our fifth tally of this contest.
So John Raba will talk things over with his team. He is a 3-time NESCAC Coach of the Year, and they are fired up for this game. Today, as it turns out, is graduation at Wesleyan. So they had graduation this morning for some on campus, as we see some of the highlights from this opening quarter that got the scoring started. Wesleyan had their own private graduation ceremony for the lacrosse players on Wednesday, and so they were able to have their special moment, and they'll look for another one here as we see the goal from Hawthorne that made it 4-0.
Wesleyan just looks like a well-oiled machine. It looks like the momentum that they gained from knocking off RIT a week ago has carried over into this game. They're playing they're just playing at a different gear right now than the Salisbury Seagulls. Their defense has kept the Seagulls at bay. Meanwhile, the offense, they're just owning their matchups one-on-one and shooting the ball incredibly well.
4 different goal scorers for the Cardinals. And they'll have possession just outside the box. And they had beaten Brandon Warren for a 5th time, too, with the Rodriguez shot that was waved off. They've won a pair of NESCAC championships. Finalists this year losing to Tufts, but they won last year and in 2009. This week, another banner moment as 9 Cardinals were named to the All-American teams. That ties RIT for the most in a Division III program, and the most all-time All-Americans named in a single season in Wesleyan history. So out of the timeout, they put it into the stick of Christian Barker. And he's got the terrific long pole, Corey Berry, on him of Salisbury. Barker able to get it down low. Here's a shot off the side of netting by Ronan Jacoby, so Warren will dig it out, and Salisbury eventually gets the stop.
That's a big defensive stop for Salisbury, even though it wasn't a takeaway or a turnover. But getting it from defense to offense now is going to be paramount for the Seagulls. They just need some confidence, and they need a little bit of a breather down here defensively.
How about the bounce pass from Will Nowesnick to help out the clear?
Man, I tell you what, he's lucky connected on that bounce pass because Coach Burtman would have had his tail had that one gone awry. But yeah, we see more and more of that with the turf surfaces. You get that true bounce. You don't have to worry about grass or anything of that nature. So I thought that was a smart play, well executed, and a good clear by the Seagulls.
Corey Gwynn. Outside, it's Wongus. He had the game-winning goal against Gettysburg. Feed down low. Melton was looking for the sneak, and it went through his stick.
And because he snuck, he was the guy behind the goal. He then became in front of the goal, and no one's there for the backup. Wesleyan wins the race to the end line.
The 5th turnover by the Seagulls. Rodriguez is able to work his way across midfield. Andres Rodriguez, a senior from Morristown, New Jersey. He played for the great All-American Jeff Biggis, a Salisbury alum, and now he is looking to defeat Salisbury today. Diderot Alley and holding here are the Cardinals with a 4-0 lead. Cole Turpin.
You can see Salisbury, they like to be aggressive as well. They like to press the perimeter. They don't play as packed in as Wesleyan does.
Barker on the feed. Jacoby, quick shot. Warren came out to challenge. The Cardinals have backup with under 90 seconds remaining in this opening quarter. They've outshot Salisbury 11-3. Barker this time of the ISO. Parker Stevens, the D-mini. And Barker, Colorado native, a 3-year starter, named 3rd-team All-American early this week. Good skip pass. Stanton thought about it, then looked to feed inside for Jacoby, and Salisbury will come up with the turnover.
Yeah, Wesleyan not having the success that they had early in this game. Credit Salisbury. They're starting to defend the paint a little bit better. Their sticks are in the passing lanes, and their short stick one-on-one defense has been much better the last couple minutes.
A great ride, and the ball turned over, then a great bailout checked, and the follow-up. Hawthorne is stopped by Warren after Stanton did all the dirty work to get Wesleyan the ball back.
Great trail check by Kyle Tucker. Put it on the ground. Then the shot by Hawthorne, and you got to give a lot of credit to Brandon Warren. Tracked it, made the stop. Beautiful work by the goaltender for Salisbury. Actually, make that check for Borkowicz. Great takeaway for what would have been a layup opportunity for the Wesleyan attack.
Short time here for Salisbury. 7 seconds in the quarter. They don't realize it. Salisbury, now they get the shot and they beat the horn. Zach Pompey with a rising shot beats Bohan, and the Seagulls are on the board.
Wow. That is a cheapie if you're Wesleyan. That is just a step down, no screen, high to high. And if you're Salisbury, that is a much needed shot of adrenaline as you give up, for Wesleyan, a late end of quarter goal. But for Salisbury, that is a huge momentum shifter and something that gives you a lot of confidence heading into the second quarter.
6'3", 190. He's gotten a lot more physical. Pompey, somewhat of a homecoming trip for him, a junior from Reading, Connecticut. And a first-year starter with his 33rd. With 1.8 remaining in the first quarter. We'll see if that gets the Seagulls going. But Wesleyan seeking the program's first national championship in their first appearance. They got off to a dream start, and they lead Salisbury 4-1 at the end of one on NCAA.com. Welcome back to Gillette Stadium on the campus, or I should say, the campus of Patriots Place in Foxborough, Massachusetts, the home of the Pats. Ralph Bednarczyk with Mark Dixon with you live on NCAA.com. It's 4-1 Wesleyan over two-time defending champion Salisbury. The Seagulls today trying to make some history. If they were to win this game, it would be their 13th national championship to tie Hobart, as we said at off the very top. It is an iconic program, and perhaps when you look at the history of lacrosse in both genders, they could be the most dominant. TJ Logue, but it is Zavalik on the face-off, but then we get the whistle, and a call will go against Wesleyan. So Salisbury will have the ball with the face-off situation. The first three were won by Wesleyan. What do you think the message was from Jim Berkman between quarters to his team?
Let's settle down. Let's get back to playing Salisbury lacrosse. Let's match their intensity, and let's build off of the Pompey goal. That was a face-off violation against Wesleyan because the ball got stuck in the stick, the back of the stick of the Cardinal face-off man. So a break for Salisbury as they try to string together their second goal.
And back to the first midfield, as Salisbury so far has been held to just 4 shots. They skip it over the top. Tough handle by Melton. They swing it to the wing. Low shot. Gwynn is on the board. Corey Gwynn, welcome back to the lineup. He had a concussion in the quarterfinals, but got a great week of practice with no game midweek. Missed the Gettysburg game. He is back with his 48th.
Again, it cannot be underestimated the value and the importance of that Zach Pompey goal with less than 2 seconds left in the first quarter. It really has given this Salisbury team a shot in the arm, and that's just a little two-man game. Gwynn uses the pick, steps around, gets to a free spot, takes the feed, and puts a nice high-to-low shot past the Wesleyan netminder. So right now, Salisbury snatching some of the momentum that was just owned in the first quarter by Wesleyan.
Jim Berkman says he's got a lefty cannon. We saw it there. And he is from Berlin, Maryland, essentially in the backyard of Salisbury, as the Seagulls have 5 players on their roster this year from the Maryland Eastern Shore area, which is new to the program despite its proximity to the peninsula. Salisbury typically, as it was explained, doesn't usually have many players from the shore, but this year the 5 is believed to be the most, at least in a very long time. Ground ball off the wing. Brad Greik, 5 in yellow, had the chance at it. And they continue to battle forward with Brett Malamphy, the second face-off man. And a wild scrum. It is Malamphy that had it. Trail checked away by Malinowski, the pole of Wesleyan. Wesleyan will typically double pole, and they win, at least momentarily, the toughest ground ball. And now we'll get the procedure called, and the ball is going to Salisbury.
Wow, I thought that might have been a push or a hold on Salisbury, but the officials rule that it was, I think it was like a pinning of the chest for Wesleyan. Possession goes to the Seagulls, and how about that face-off, Ralph? It just kind of typifies what this game means to each of these ball clubs. Guys selling out, bodies flying, sticks swinging, a lot of intensity, a lot of emotion happening down on that field right now.
And Salisbury will go with Glynn. Gwynn now with Reynolds, and also Jarrett Bromwell. Check that, it's Pompey, 3 that's come in. Here's Melton, and in talking this week to John Reba about how to defend the Salisbury team. No easy looks, shut down the passing lanes with the skipping lanes, and then he wants to make them take shots where they are not necessarily comfortable in their offense. But Gwynn is comfortable. That lefty cannon nearly from the same spot, and despite what happened in the first quarter, it is just a 1-goal game.
It almost seems like Salisbury's cracked the code. Quick, snappy ball movement, finding pockets of open space, and Corey Gwynn on the run for about 13 yards, running to his left, and just a whip shot, high to high. Was able to stick it past Bohan. And I tell you right now, Salisbury, for as kicked around as they were in the first 15 minutes or 14 minutes and 58 seconds of the first quarter. They have owned this game as of recently.
Gwynn second, Pierre Armstrong on the skip pass, getting the assist. So Salisbury now shooting 3 of 6 when they've gotten good looks, and one of them was an early pipe.
I mean, you look at the first quarter statistics, shots, 14-4 in favor of Wesleyan. But the ground ball battle was won 12-6, believe it or not, by Salisbury. That's an inordinate amount of ground balls for one quarter. But you could see that they were hustling. It just, the defense was letting them down, and now the defense is shored up a little bit. The offensive has got some confidence, and Salisbury's going to take a quick timeout to save possession and retain and try to continue this momentum.
They'll keep it as they are within 4-3, and for Jim Berkman, he has nearly seen it all. And for this young group, as we touched on, they had 3 early losses. They were 6-3. One of their losses being 15-7. It was the worst loss for Jim Berkman at Salisbury since 1992 in terms of disparity and deficit. They had a game against Gettysburg where they lost in double overtime. They had 10 penalties. Jim Berkman couldn't remember a game where he had that many, and yet this group has climbed out of those tough days in February and March to get back here, and they may have to climb again today.
Division III lacrosse might be as deep and competitive right now as it ever has been. So anytime Salisbury loses by 9 goals, let alone to York, but York is a national championship contender. They lost in the quarterfinals to RIT of this year's tournament. Yeah, it's gonna raise some eyebrows, but quite honestly, whether it's a 9-goal loss or a 2-goal loss, it's still a loss. And ever since then, Salisbury's gotten their act together. They were able to go through the CAC and win that conference championship. And again, I point to the Christopher Newport game in the quarterfinals or the second round of the NCAA tournament, where they were down late by 6-7 goals, came storming back to win that contest. Those are the types of wins that really can fortify you and make you believe in everything that the coaches are preaching. And so this 4-goal lead, I mean, that's something, but it's not insurmountable. And again, that goal at the end of the first quarter by Pompey, such a huge score that has changed the momentum and changed the tide of this thing.
This was a 4-0 game. Salisbury used the timeouts and a pair of goals here in the second quarter from their leading scorer, Corey Gwynn, has made it a 4-3 Division III national championship game still to come. At 4 Eastern, Mark and I will have the Division II national championship game. Merrimack from North Andover, Massachusetts is here against St. Leo's, the Lions out of Florida. The Sunshine State Conference, they're located just outside of Tampa. They are here for the first time in the final. And we're looking forward to that. Hope you can join us on NCAA.com.
Salisbury out of timeouts now. They called the early one just to stem the tide of this Wesleyan run, and that one was to save possession. So the final 12 minutes of the first half, Jim Berkman has no stoppages left in his back pocket.
Gwynn. Wangus. Good face dodge, Reynolds. And Reynolds chased off of his spot. He's looking for the skip pass. Colin Malarchuk, sophomore close defender out of Briarcliff Manor, New York. So they'll close that down. Wangus. Gwynn. His pass knocked down in tight. And the ground ball will be recovered. That's Jake Cresta, number 39, out of Horsham, Pennsylvania. Then the shot, Reynolds. And Bohan, I think, slowed it down with his stick.
He saw it. That's the first shot in a couple minutes that he's actually tracked, been able to react to and get a piece of it.
Again, Melton. Ten and a half to go in the second quarter. And the shots are 14-7 in favor of Wesleyan, but much of that damage done early. Reynolds, extra look, Wangus. Here's Gwynn again. Right to Bohan to the stick side.
Good save. But I like how Salisbury is getting this Wesleyan defense rotating. Quick, snappy passes, great ball movement. Wesleyan is attacking with 2 guys flying out to the ball, which makes that recovery on the backside so much more difficult. And Gwynn has done a really nice job of finding some open space. But credit Bohan with that save, fighting it off as he was able to finally catch up to the shot out of number 16 stick.
So Stanton and the Cardinals attack. They have the ball for the first time in what feels like 20 minutes.
It's been a while. We'll see how they approach this possession. Again, they've had a lot of success attacking the shorties of Salisbury.
Barker and his pass through the stick of Turpin. Cole Turpin will save it along the sideline, but then it eventually trickles out of bounds.
Stuff you just can't do. You can't miss simple passes from point A to point B, but I think that is a byproduct of Wesleyan not having the ball on offense for the last couple of minutes.
Here's a good knockdown. Ronan Jacoby, and the freshman that's the NESCAC Rookie of the Year. Jacoby is bottled up as he looks for an outlet, but the pass, the clearing pass, was just not high enough.
That was a terrific play by Ronan Jacoby. Went up high, got on his ladder, was able to snare it out of air with one hand. That is a terrific ride and a great creation of a second possession. And Jacoby is on a short stick for Salisbury being shut off. So we've got 5-on-5 lacrosse in this half-field set.
Hawthorne to initiate, matched up by Kyle Tucker, the 2-time Division III Defensive Player of the Year, just the 3rd in program history. Walking out in front, and there is Warren making it look easy. He is able to stop Cole Turpin.
So the defensive adjustment Salisbury's made is they're taking a shorty, and then he switched from number 4 Jacoby, and he switched over to number 31 Gesquire. So Salisbury right now is comfortable playing 5-on-5 lacrosse with one of their shorties shutting off an offensive player for Wesleyan.
And that attack unit could have had 3 All-Americans. Jacoby, 80 points on the season, and an NESCAC Rookie of the Year. Did not get any All-American honors, but you can see down the road he's going to be a multiple-timer. 3rd-teamer for Barker, and honorable mention All-American honors for Gesquire. So Wangus here in Salisbury will look to tie the game up. Bohan has made 4 stops in goal for Wesleyan. This is Austin Short. Pompey. Melton with eyes to the front.
Good defense by Wesleyan. They are making Salisbury work. And you got to credit the Salisbury players. They are sprinting out there, cutting, setting picks. They're doing everything full speed. Shot clock now against the Gulls.
So Pompey with the timer starting. Past the midway point of this second quarter. Wong has moved it along. In tight, the shot, Bohan making a fine save. It was Austin Short that was able to sneak just outside the crease area.
Good reaction by Bohan. Got his right leg on that shot. That was a beautiful look inside.
Otto Bohan, a 5'10" sophomore from Westlake, Ohio, attending the Western Reserve Academy. As this skip pass sailed a bit on Austin Short, he had the right idea. It might have been open, but it came out of the head of his stick a little funny and out of bounds.
It just got away from him. It's unfortunate. Airmails it out of bounds. Possession over to Wesleyan. And we'll see if the Cardinals can find their offensive mojo, which was really sensational in the first quarter of this game.
They'll bring on their second midfield. Number 30, Ryan Flippin, a senior from Greenwich, Connecticut. As they'll sub through the box, and we'll see if the shutoff on Jacoby continues here, Mark. And right now, for the moment, it is not.
Yeah, so it's not Jacoby being shut off. It's a short stick midi for Salisbury, shutting off a midfielder for Wesleyan. And right now, the shut guy is number 20, Parker Stevens, and he's shutting off number 30 in red, Ryan Flippin.
There's a big hit on Stanton, and Stanton, though, is able to keep possession and keep his wits about him.
And now Salisbury looks like they've dropped it to a more conventional 6-on-6 with no shutoff.
Tucker knocked it away, and the ground ball will be gathered by Warren. Tucker able to strip Hawthorne, and Salisbury able to come up with it with Will Nowesnick, 2 All-Americans on that defense. Especially Tucker, as Jim Berkman said, he just can eliminate your number 1 guy. But a great ride with a flag out, though. And the flag is out, and it will be Salisbury that will go man up.
Crowd doesn't like the call, but I think there was clearly a slash against Wesleyan right on the far side, opposite of our broadcast position. The officials are conferring. So it's going to be a hold. That could have been a slash, but it's been downgraded to a hold against Wesleyan. So a man-up opportunity will present itself with just under 5 minutes to go here in the second quarter for the Salisbury Seagulls.
Salisbury at 37% man-up on the year. The man down for Wesleyan, it's been all right, allowing 32%. It's the pole, Ben Shively for Wesleyan that's off the field. Gwynn up top, Brownwell. Melton, Pierre Armstrong, back to Josh Melton, in tight, good stick fake, Bohan able to commit robbery on Maroney.
Wow, that was pure denial right there. Look up, not up in here in the dictionary, and Bohan, what a beautiful save. What I liked is he matched stick on stick. And great fakes inside, good patience, but I like how Bohan matched stick on stick.
And here's a quick shot by Wesleyan as they'll have backup. But Griffin Maroney, Salisbury's 4th leading scorer, and a lefty that had it on his strong hand.
The goaltending in this game has been streaky so far. Warren struggled early, has played better as of late, and Bohan started off hot. Couple got by him on some terrific shots, and now we're seeing him elevate his game. So both goalies are playing well right at this moment.
Hawthorne outside to Gesquire. First midfield again for the Cardinals. And Gesquire has the D-man. He's shooting with the left, and Warren came out to challenge the angle, and that's a tough matchup for Salisbury, Mark. With Gesquire, who goes 6'5". You can see how strong, lanky he is and how well he can extend.
Well, both these teams have settled in. Wesleyan jumped up 4-0. We were questioning the mindset of the Cardinals being their first ever national championship appearance. And then Salisbury, that's a reason they've been here. There's a reason why they've been here 18 times. They settled in.
In front on the sneak, it is Stanton. So quick getting to the front, turning the corner, and Wesleyan has ended the 3-goal Salisbury run.
It looked like a little bit of defensive miscommunication between the Salisbury Seagull defenders, and you got to credit Stanton. He is not afraid to turn the corner. He is not afraid. He invites contact, and that is a beautiful goal to get that Wesleyan lead. It's a 2-man game behind the cage, and it was almost like a fake. Not a hidden ball trick, but pretty darn close to one, and the Salisbury defenders weren't able to pick up the ball carrier. Goal for Wesleyan.
Second for Stanton. They give an assist to Hawthorne. And it's 5-3. And Harry Stanton, this is his first time ever to Gillette Stadium. He's a Giants fan, just like his best buddy Cole Turpin is. They're both from Fairfield County. And during the recruiting process, Michigan was on him but passed on him. And John Rava felt we caught a break. Got much bigger on the shoulders. Goes about 5'8", 190 now. Zavalik wins another tough battle in the face-off X. And Zavalik ahead. Timeout as Stanton was about to turn the corner, and this is Wesleyan's final timeout of the first half with 2:49 to go, and what has turned out to be perhaps a different first half than we expected, as it's 5-3 Cardinals. I think we knew Salisbury would have to take some time to settle in against the Wesleyan zone defense, and maybe it could take them a quarter or two.
Yeah, and that's exactly, it took about 3-4 possessions before they finally got comfortable. And let's be honest, the first goal that they scored, I mean, that's just a guy stepping in and saying, I'm bringing it high and heavy, try to catch up to it. So I like how Salisbury has been moving the ball here in the second quarter, getting the Wesleyan defense on a rotation. Credit Bohan with several saves over the last few minutes. Then on the other end of the field, the Wesleyan offense continues to grind, continues to work hard, and get some quality shot opportunities. But the Salisbury defense, especially the short stick D middies, have really pulled up and tightened their belts and really gotten into a rhythm of keeping Wesleyan away from the cage. Credit the Cardinals for some creativity on that last goal, but I mean, we knew it was going to be a terrific championship game, and it has certainly lived up to that billing.
5-3 Wesleyan. They have outshot Salisbury 18-11. Salisbury, though, does have the edge in the face-offs, 5 out of 4, despite the job Zavalik has done. But Wesleyan has forced a couple of turnovers immediately after Salisbury wins. And there were big expectations on this Cardinals team. There were a couple of polls that had them preseason number 1, despite not going to the national championship game last year. And John Araba knew that. They had to replace the national goalie of the year, Ted Bergman, but he felt Otto Bohan took so much out of standing and watching last year as a sophomore and watching Bergman go about his business before Otto eventually got comfortable and stepped in, and they feel he has had and does have more big games left in him.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is the stage where you have to put together your most complete game, the national championship contest. Kind of fun during that intermission, the fans going back and forth with each other. Again, the Wesleyan crowd about double the size of Salisbury, and anytime a Salisbury fan section was shown on the big video board here, boos cascading down. So these Cardinals are a bunch of bullies.
Who knew?
Strength in numbers.
They'll play a little two-man game as Barker gets to his left hand shooting. There's Warren making a fine save. Then the follow-up shot missed it. It was Gesquire that picked up the loose change. Wesleyan will keep it, nearing the 2-minute mark of the second.
No timeouts for either ball club, so we're going to play through in this last 2:10 of the first half.
Turpin got past the short stick, then is taken down. No call. He's able to keep possession. Back behind Hawthorne.
Surprised there was no flag there. Looked like there was a clear push in the back against Salisbury.
The D-Midi, Jeremiah Leclerc, got into it with him as this pass brought in by Jacoby.
Salisbury back in that shutoff. They're using number 42, Jeremiah Leclerc, closing off number 20, Hawthorne, behind the cage.
Down low, this is off the side netting. Jacoby, the shooter, and Salisbury will look for the clear, and we'll have a minute to go before the half.
Yeah, so you've got to like how Salisbury's mixing up their looks defensively. Sometimes they're shutting, sometimes they're not, trying to keep Wesleyan off balance.
Kyle Tucker, as he steps in, goes to Leclerc. High pass brought down, and was it an offside? It's just a failure to advance by Salisbury.
Offsides against Salisbury. They had 7 players forward, and Wesleyan has numbers.
Down low, Warren making the stop on Jacoby.
Terrific save by Warren, right on the doorstep.
Jacoby able to pick up the ground ball after Eric Morales, who was off the Wesleyan football team as a slot wide receiver, and a D-Midi legged it ahead. And walking out in front, Jacoby with his hands tied up. 32.6 remaining for Wesleyan. They led this national championship game 4-0, forcing an early Salisbury timeout.
Looks like Wesleyan is going to play for the last shot. Christian Barker, who has a tally in this game, looking to go to cage.
with the D-midi, Troy Miller trying to stay with him. Barker continues. There came the help, knocked away by LeClaire, and the pickup by Nowesnik. They send the bouncer ahead, and a chance, a little flip shot. Bohan came out to challenge just before the horn. Well, we saw the little bounce pass earlier from Will Nowesnik, and that was just perhaps one trick out of the many he could show us. About a 50-yard double bouncer that nearly led to a goal by Griff Maroney.
Great first half of action. You saw the 4-0 lead by Wesleyan. Salisbury really galvanized by a goal on short time with only seconds remaining in the first quarter. Second quarter pretty darn even when it comes to the intensity and the emotion. So this is certainly setting up to have a tremendous second half to determine a national champion.
We'll be back with more on NCAA.com, including bringing you our first half highlights. And then the third quarter of the Division III National Championship game, Wesleyan of Connecticut seeking the program's first national championship on NCAA.com. Back at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Wesleyan of Connecticut with a 5-3 lead over two-time defending national champion Salisbury for the Division III Men's Lacrosse Championship game on NCAA.com. I'm Ralph Bednarczyk, now joined by Inside Lacrosse longtime beat writer and especially on the beat of the Division III scene, Matt Kinnear, who joins me here up in the booth. Matt, welcome. How has your week been like preparing for this interesting showdown between these two?
It's been great. You know, this is an awesome showdown. We have a team that's here for the first time that has one of the most exciting schemes that we've seen in Division III lacrosse. And then we have the team that is just the classic, you know, the big bad wolf of Division III lacrosse, going for their third straight championship. You really couldn't ask for better storylines than this heading into a national championship game.
And at 5-3, I think, especially at 4-0, everybody's wondering, whoa, Wesleyan is very, very much ready to play. Salisbury did not even have the possession. How about the start for Wesleyan and what that might mean for the rest of this game?
You know, that's been Wesleyan's MO. You know, they've had this ability to go up big in these games. You know, they've kind of cooled off, though, throughout the games and let teams back into it. So it's not surprising that they went up so early. You know, they dominated the possession. You know, Salisbury only had 4 possessions in that first quarter, and they didn't come till late in that quarter. So that's not really surprising. It's just more a matter of, can they hold on and weather the storm that is going to come? Because Salisbury is a team that, you know, is battle tested. They're well coached. They are going to come back. Can Wesleyan hold on for that?
Mm-hmm. And as we look at Jim Berkman calling that timeout at 4-0, I think in listening to your podcast this week, I think we all expect it could take Salisbury or any team some time to dissect the Wesleyan zone defense. The question is, will they have enough, and can they do it long enough? How about from what we've seen in Salisbury's progression against the zone? You could practice against it all you want. You can watch all the film you want, but then you have to do it against their terrific defenders and their scheme.
Yeah, I don't think Salisbury's seen a team play a zone that's this aggressive, or have they seen a team play a zone this much in a game as kind of their exclusive defense? You know, Salisbury's seen it against Christopher Newport a little bit. They've seen it against Frostburg, but not a team that plays a zone that's this aggressive. They've really figured out their way to kind of get that shot on the high wing, move the ball really well, and they've got some guys who can really shoot. You know, I think sometimes Salisbury has relied too much on their outside shooters. This is a game where those guys can really shine, and that's Corey Gwynn, who had 2 goals. You know, he's been battling injury, and he's back into this game. He missed the last game, but he's back, and he's really going to be a key player. And Garrett Reynolds is another guy who I think could have a very big game here. He's a great shooter. He can really shoot from that wing, which is the only spot that you can really get an open look against this Wesleyan defense. The risk for Salisbury is they can't necessarily shoot their way out of it, though. They just need to have good ball movement. If they start taking bad shots, that's when they're just going to give the ball to Wesleyan, and we've seen what this offense can do when they have the ball too much.
And from a story perspective, how do you not like John Raba? What a class act he's been, not just even this week, but his entire 22-year career. You could certainly hear the passion in his voice all week in interviews. He said he doesn't know how Belichick can do it when he's swarmed with calls and congratulatory emails and texts. He couldn't handle it, and he's a Division III men's lacrosse coach. It's been a real pleasure kind of speaking to him this week, I think, as a character that has emerged on the Division III lacrosse scene on a more greater national scale.
You know, he's a great coach. He's a great lacrosse mind. He's a great person. And he's done something really special with this Wesleyan team here. You know, they didn't get the attention that they were a number 2 preseason team, so people knew they were good, but they still haven't gotten the attention that they deserve, you know, for what they've been able to build there. You know, it's really remarkable, and they play in the toughest conference in lacrosse in the NESCAC, so they've kind of been a little bit overlooked by Tufts, you know, the team that comes out of the NESCAC so many years and has played so well. But, you know, with the zone defense, and then a guy like Harry Stanton, who is a guy who's a legitimate player of the year. He's, you know, their 3rd point scorer. It's just so many weapons that they have. It's remarkable what Raba's built and how he's been able to kind of have this buy-in to this way that they play and everything they do and the way they approach the game.
And quickly, who's your Division III National Player of the Year? The goalie from Gettysburg? Is it Brady? Is it Cullen from Kyle Cullen from RIT? Who is it?
I gotta say it's RIT's Kyle Killen. He's just
Kyle Cullen, yes.
You know, he is just he can score so many ways. You know, RIT. They had their exit, you know, in the last round of the playoffs, so you know they're not going to be able to get to play on this big stage. But I think when you look at the whole body of work from start to finish, he was the most consistently threatening scorer in the country, on the most consistently threatening offense in the country. He's the player of the year in my mind.
Fantastic. Matt Kinnear of Inside Lacrosse. You can catch him, of course, online. I'm sure he'll be tweeting. I'm sure he's not sleeping until maybe sometime around Wednesday. It's always a pleasure to see you and, of course, join us here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
That's Matt Kinnear. You can catch all of his activity, work, tweets, and articles for this entire National Championship weekend on InsideLacrosse.com. We're coming back in a couple minutes. Mark and I will have first-half highlights here on NCAA.com with Wesleyan having a 5-3 lead over the 2-time defending national champion Salisbury Seagulls on NCAA.com. It's a 5-3 Wesleyan lead over Salisbury from the Division III National Championship game in men's lacrosse from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts on NCAA.com. Ralph Gennarchi joined by Mark Dixon. We'll have halftime highlights for you in a moment. Key numbers, 23-11, Wesleyan out shooting Salisbury. Salisbury has turned it over 9 times, but they shook off a very tough opening quarter to cut it to 2.
Yeah, and you knew that Salisbury was going to recover. You knew they were going to answer the bell. I like offensively how they moved the ball a lot quicker against this aggressive zone defense by the Wesleyan Cardinals, and they shot the ball incredibly well. In particular, Corey Gwynn with 2 rockets. He accounted for both goals there in the quarter. I guess if you're Salisbury, you just need to try to find some other guys to get the ball on frame and try to solve the Wesleyan defense.
Wesleyan jumped on Salisbury in the opening couple of minutes as we show you our first half highlights. It was 4-0 before you sat down as Harry Stanton here had the drive. This was a very nice bounce shot beating Brandon Warren. What do you attribute to their very early success during this 4-goal run?
I love their aggression and how quickly they started out of the gates, and they took the pace of play to Salisbury. But you got to credit Salisbury Pompey at the end of the first quarter with the big goal. And that was really made possible by the excellent goaltender of Brandon Warren. That save that he made on the doorstep could have made it 5-0, but his goaltending kept the Cardinals at bay.
Then here's Corey Gwynn shooting, and Bohan making the save. That could have tied it up at 4 before Wesleyan would get a late goal. There's Brandon Warren coming up with the stop.
Yeah, give Bohan credit. That's 7 saves. He had 5 in the second quarter. That allowed Wesleyan, that was really a 2-goal turnaround. Instead of being a tie ball game at 4-all, you go to the other end, and Stanton scores a goal to make it a 5-3 game. So really, that save by Bohan, you could look at that as a 2-goal turnaround.
5-3 here at the break. Gwynn with a pair to lead Salisbury. Harry Stanton has a pair to lead Wesleyan. Carter Hawthorne with a goal and an assist. And as the third quarter is about to begin, let's start here first with Wesleyan. What do you think, John Reba? They got up to such a great start, but that has been their modus operandi this season. They had a huge lead against RIT, and as he said, his team's greatest area of improvement was keeping pressure on teams. They have tended to allow teams back in the game. What do you think was his message at the half?
I think it's just that. Let's look, we know Salisbury wasn't going to stay on the deck, and they've come up swinging, and they smacked Wesleyan back in the mouth, but they've absorbed that, and then they counterpunched with the goal by Stanton at the end of the first half. So I think what the message is for both teams, especially Wesleyan, 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes for a national championship game. And probably John Reba said at halftime as well, if I would have told you you're going to be up 5-3 on the defending national champions at halftime, you probably would have signed up for that. That's exactly where they are right now, and it's going to be a good 30 minutes to determine a national champion.
Zach Zavalik, the sophomore from Glastonbury, Connecticut, has been the primary faceoff man for Wesleyan. Salisbury will continue to alternate the tandem of TJ Logue, who's in there now, and Brett Malamphy. They take 2 faceoffs at a time before switching.
It's good to have that little mixture, and I'm sure if somebody gets hot, whether it's Logue or Malamphy, then they'll probably get the lion's share of faceoffs here in the second half.
But Zavalik able to win that one cleanly. So here's Wesleyan with possession, and this high-powered attack has already gotten production from the midfield, too, with Turpin. And then the first goal of the game from Taylor Gesquire. And John Reba felt that we have the best attack unit in the country, but, of course, the midfield helps create that. And then his second midfield has emerged in the playoffs. Probably the best offense they've ever had in 22 years. Here's Turpin shooting. Good late trail check to jar the ball free. And a good job of preventing the shot by Salisbury's Corey Berry. Stanton. Met by Nowesnik on a switch. Stanton trying to take him, goal line extended. This time Warren making the save.
Good adjustment. He saw Stanton do that 2 or 3 times in the first half, and he knows he likes to shoot it low and far post. Warren did well to get down and snuff that opportunity out.
Jeremiah LeClaire on the clear, a transfer from Hofstra. The D-Midi, and now the Seagulls to organize the offense.
That's a save early in the second half that Salisbury did not get in the opening minutes of this game. So that is a big stop. Keep it at a 2-goal hole and now try to chip away.
First midfield for Salisbury. Gwynn, Wongus, Pompey. Pompey dumped it down low, and the pass was read. Andres Rodriguez, 21 in red with anticipation. Gwynn behind the back pass into Melton. There's the skip, Pompey. And Wesleyan able to recover and dig back in the hole in defensively. Gwynn watched up top by the D-Midi, Colin Hitter. 13 in red for Wesleyan. Hitter now against Wongus. Emery Wongus.
So it's a dodge, draw that diamond in the middle, draw that backer, and then move it.
Feed in tight, it was Wongus, and he had it checked away. Rodriguez was able to get on his hands.
I don't think that was the greatest feed inside, as Wongus was pretty well covered, and good check down by the Wesleyan defense to create the turnover.
Andres Rodriguez having a great afternoon so far for Wesleyan. He was among the 3 Wesleyan defenders that were not healthy last year as they fell to RIT in last year's semifinals. A disappointing 22-9 result that, as John Reyes said, we moped about for about a week, and then we started to think about 2018. Gesquire shooting with the left hand and not able to control the ball is Warren. He didn't make the save.
I tell you what, Warren is looking very well. He's seeing the ball well, stepping to it, getting his stick on it. He's really upped his game after a little bit of a shaky start.
He made 8 saves in the victory at Gettysburg in the national semifinal. And Warren, just like Bohan, he had to sit and wait last year watching Colin Ryman play. Gesquire off the double. It was jarred free, and the ground ball picked up by Kyle Tucker.
Great double. If you're Gesquire, you got to be smarter with the ball. You see 2 and 3 yellow jerseys swarming around you. You know you've got somebody else open. You got to move it.
Great help defense by the D-Midi, Troy Miller. And Salisbury has it again. They had 3 possessions trailing 4-3 to try to tie it. Now the late goal by Harry Stanton from Hawthorne put us where we are now at 5-3 early going third quarter.
Chilly day here in Foxborough, probably around 60, 65 degrees with a brisk wind. Big difference in temperature from yesterday, which was close to 90 degrees and about 100 degrees on the turf.
This is Garrett Reynolds. Yeah, I walked in and I didn't realize it would be an open air booth, Mark.
I'm telling you.
Wish you and I both had some extra NCAA.com jackets. Inside Melton, this time he buries it. Great ball movement, he got it from behind from Armstrong, and the Seagulls are within a goal again.
Seagull faithful love it. Got a lot to cheer about right now. Snappy ball movement by Salisbury. You saw the dodge up top. You draw the slide. You bang it down the goal line extended, and then you redirect it to a cutter to the near post. Really a triangle offense right there by the Salisbury Seagulls. Excellent execution.
Josh Melton had a tough go of things. He missed the season opener, went without a point in his first 2 games. He had back-to-back bouts with tonsillitis and the flu. But these 3 sophomores, they call themselves now the Rat Pack after the team gave them that nickname. They're all first-year starters as Salisbury had to replace a pair of All-Americans, including National Player of the Year Nathan Blondino on the attack.
Salisbury lost a lot of firepower on the offensive end from a year ago. The good news is the defense was back, with the exception of a starting goaltender, but Warren has played incredibly well, and it always helps to have the best defender in Division III lacrosse in the form of Kyle Tucker.
Melton has his 24th. This time the face-off pushed ahead by Brett Malamphy. And another good scrum. Big number 50, Chad Malinowski.
That was a terrific ground ball.
Was able to come up with it. Wesleyan will double pole virtually the entire game.
That's a 6'3", 230 guy picking up a short arm ground ball in traffic. And then he got the 70 inches of titanium out of harm's way. That was impressive.
So here's Turpin with LeClaire, the D-midi on him. Face-offs now 6 of 11 for Wesleyan. Two goals for Harry Stanton, 1-1 for Carter Hawthorne. And the Cardinals attack that has gotten all the attention they have produced and the accolades to add to that too.
Salisbury in a straight up 6-on-6 D, no shut off.
Gesquire, hands free, beating Warren Lowe. He got the feed. The slide came to Barker on the dish, and it's Wesleyan back by 2.
Impressive dodge by Christian Barker and smart play. Watch him lose his body. Leans in, and right now he's got good leverage. Sees the double coming, is able to get his hands square, and a nice little pass over to Gesquire. And the big man uses that long reach of his to put it past Brandon Warren 5-hole. High to low, beautiful shot, but Barker, credit him with drawing the double, dumping it, and letting Gesquire have open space to operate in.
They've clocked Taylor Gesquire in practice at up to 105 miles an hour at 6'4", 215. John Raba was at the Good to Great camp at Amherst College. In 10 seconds, he saw him step down from 18 yards. The cage almost fell over, and they started the recruiting process immediately, and they got him about a week later to commit.
It's a big get for John Raba and the Wesleyan program, and he's got 2 goals so far here in this one.
Malamphy on the left, Zavalik on the right for Wesleyan. Malamphy overran it, kicks it forward. Malinowski over, and the pickup belonged to Zavalik, and he got it outside to the wings and Shively.
Well, right now, Wesleyan's winning the tough ground ball battle and the all-important ground ball battle off of the face-off dot. But that's 2 in a row for Wesleyan. Just a couple minutes ago, Malinowski picked up a tough one, and now Zavalik picks up an equally difficult one. And these are the types of possessions and type of game management that Wesleyan needs to be successful.
Here's Flippin, second midfield again for Wesleyan. And Flippin trying to bull dodge against Parker Stevens, a junior from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Very physical D-midi.
That's terrific short stick defensive midfield, or a very aggressive dodge by the Wesleyan midfielder, Ryan Flippin.
Stanton matched up against Nowesnik. Nowesnik last year against Kyle Killen held him scoreless of RIT. There's a wing dodge, and Wesleyan with a pair. And they push the lead now to 3.
Terrific dodge by the Wesleyan short stick. Just gets leverage. It's what it's all about. It's an alley dodge. And you can see the short stick defensive midfield of Troy Miller. Once he gets on the back right there, it's all over. You got to stay in front. You got to funnel the Dodger down the alley. That did not happen. And the beautiful shot.
Corey Aviles with the goal, a junior out of Setauket, New York, out of high school and national high school power, Ward Melville. That's just his second of the season, so he gets a run on second midfield and was very aggressive.
Well, you need a second midfield to win a national championship, just because you don't want to wear your first line guys out. But when you can get production out of the second midfield, that is just icing on the cake. Beautiful shot by Aviles.
2 goals on just 10 shots for Aviles. Logue. And Logue had it checked away. He thought he may have had the open ground ball. Shively jarred it free. The pickup for Salisbury and Noah Kness, and then he is rocked out of bounds, and Wesleyan is loving it. They're going to get the ball back.
Here in the third quarter is doing what they did in the first quarter. They're taking the physicality and the tenacity to Salisbury. It just looks like Salisbury, every time they're on a ground ball, Wesleyan's right there. Every time they're trying to clear or get the ball to open space, Wesleyan's there. And that's just a great takeaway, though, by Tucker. Wow, that was sweet.
A perfect takeaway on Stanton. He intercepts. And a takeaway Salisbury needed as they trail by 3. Gwynn. And the hand wrapped around, flags coming out. Gwynn. And he could not get the shot off, and eventually picked up by the Cardinals. Salisbury will have their second man up.
Gwynn did a great job out of the substitution game, coming out of the box with a head of steam, headed to the cage. And that's a definition, textbook of a hold. The guillotine around the neck of Gwynn. Draws the foul. We're going to take a look at the replay. Almost decapitated him right there. Extra man opportunity for Salisbury.
Salisbury 0 for 1. They had a 32nd man up in the second quarter. And it's Christian Barker. Brownwell, a shooter to look out for. They feed down low, and unable to make the pass is Armstrong. And Armstrong under pressure. Melton. The skip to Gwynn. Final seconds of the man up. Gwynn, and now we are all even. And Wesleyan is able to balance up. Salisbury 0 for 2. Shot from the wing. Might have been off goal. Bohan made the save anyway. And the battle for the ground ball ensues. It'll be picked up by Andres Rodriguez.
Another great ground ball by Wesleyan. They're doing the dirty work right now, making the little plays and winning the ground ball battle.
Bohan stopping Griff Maroney. And Wesleyan a chance to go up by 4 for the second time in this Division III National Championship game.
That was a good step down by Maroney. I think if he could have that one back, it would be better placement of that shot. But Bohan, make no mistake about it, these shots are coming in hot and heavy, and he's done a great job of using his body and his stick to make stops.
Turpin, past Leclerc. Outside, good no-look feed. Barker, and a shot off the side of cage. Crowd celebrating. Stanton got a nice step down.
I thought the midfielder could have shot that, but he was unselfish, got it to Stanton. I think Stanton could have taken a step upfield to increase his angle.
Failed clear. There's Stanton after Leclerc could not bring the pass in.
Second or third failed clear by Salisbury. That is a killer in a game like this, especially when you're trailing by 3 goals.
Barker on the ice, so this time shoots it. Warren out of cage, and winning the race for backup is Ronan Jacoby. Shots are now, that's going to be the 30th shot, 30-14 in shots for Wesleyan. On the rollback, Jacoby. Barker, Stanton, tic-tac-toe, Hawthorne off the fake.
Terrific passing by the Wesleyan Cardinals. It starts from the left wing to the left of the right-handed goaltender Warren, and then the double. And the great recognition by Jacoby. Once he saw that double coming, one pass, and then this is what you call the one more. You could have shot the ball right there if you're Barker. I'm sorry if you're Stanton, but you make the one more down low to Carter Hawthorne, who's on the doorstep. And look at how he steps upfield in front of the goal to increase his angle and then dunks it home past Salisbury. Beautiful ball movement, excellent offense by Wesleyan.
Could be a huge week for the Hawthorns. Dad played at Yale. He's already the program's all-time leader in assists. This week, he was also the recipient of the Elite 90 Award for the best student at the Final Four. He's got a 3.841 GPA, majoring in economics and psychology.
Well, he'd like nothing more than to cap it all off with the national championship. That would be pretty sweet.
And off the face-off, this one is going to Salisbury after another great battle in the Face-Off X Division I National Championship game tomorrow to conclude another great weekend here at Gillette Stadium that's emerged as a consistent and fine host here of the Men's Lacrosse National Championships.
So this has been a game of runs. 4-0 Wesleyan, then 3-0 Salisbury, and then Wesleyan now in the midst of another 3-goal run.
Armstrong behind. Salisbury had cut it to 4-3. This is Gwynn shooting. They'll stay with the Seagulls. For Salisbury, 12 of their 15 shots, Mark, have been on goal.
Yeah.
And including one pipe, so I don't know if you could say that they haven't shot the ball great. They just haven't got maybe the
They haven't had a ton of
chances.
opportunities. Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Very accurate shooters. They make the goalie make saves, which is all you can really do asking out of an offense. They don't want them to be gumball, popcorn types of saves. You want to make the goalie work for them, but at least putting it on cage makes sure that the goaltender's going to have to work.
It's Melton trying to dodge. Gwynn, and down low for Armstrong. And Salisbury has faced a couple of defenses this year that have played zone almost the entirety of the game. Christopher Newport, as you mentioned. Frostburg State has played long stretches of games against Salisbury against zones. Gwynn popped the pass through, and it leads to maybe a Kolmacek. Wangus was reaching for it. Rodriguez forced it forward. Gwynn overran it. And the ball on the ground all the way to the far sideline before Pompey digs it out for Salisbury.
And it looked like Gwynn, which created that loose ball, didn't mean to make that pass. It almost like at the last second he tried to hold it back, but it pops out of his stick. But credit Salisbury for digging up a tough 50-50 highly contested ground ball.
Melton threw it down low. Here's Gwynn right into the stick of Otto Bohan.
Yeah, poor shot location. Not bad execution, but the shot itself right into the chest of number 8 in red. And he's shown consistently throughout the season and throughout this game that he's going to make those saves.
9 saves for Bohan, 10 stops at RIT last week in the semifinal. He's made as many as 19 saves in the game this season against Amherst. Another 18 save performance at Tufts in a wild one. And through a lot of traffic, Stanton, and he took a shot. Harry Stanton is hunched over, hurt behind the play.
He's clearly shaken up, holding what looks like his left wrist.
So Wesleyan will play a possession without the program's all-time leading goal scorer. Stanton comes off, and number 19, Tom Martello, their 4th attackman out of Rockville Center, out of the island, and a product out of Chaminade High School comes on.
Short time, less than 50 seconds. Let's see if Wesleyan can get a shot off, maybe some window dressing to then ensure that they'll have the last possession of this second quarter and try to get Stanton healthy and back in the game.
Hawthorne with a half minute to go.
And
Kyle
they will
Tucker,
get the
the
last
assignment.
shot less than 30 seconds to go here in the quarter, as you mentioned.
Guesquire. And Guesquire, with short time, wants to take on the short stick. And Parker Stevens trying to lean into the shot. Salisbury will get the stop. One more feed ahead, and that will take care of the third. Wesleyan outscores the Seagulls 3-1 in the quarter. And they take an 8-4 lead with them into the fourth quarter, seeking the program's first ever national championship. We're back to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough on NCAA.com. The Wesleyan Cardinals begin the fourth quarter with an 8-4 lead. They are 15 minutes away from the program's first national championship and their first appearance in the final. And to do so, they'll have to dethrone the two-time defending champs and 12-time champions, the Salisbury Seagulls. Welcome back to Foxborough. Ralph Bjornchik with Mark Dixon. Game number 2 will start at 4 Eastern, the Division II final. Intriguing matchup between Merrimack and St. Leo's. Face-off belongs to Chad Malinowski off the wing, and the double polling of Wesleyan has also been quite effective, and they have now taken 9 out of the 15 today.
Great clear by Wesleyan.
And this is Morales. How'd you like to have a football kick returner go through the clear?
Good job. And that was a tenacious ride by that Salisbury attack. But you bring up a great point. The double wings on the face-off have very much proven dividends for the Wesleyan Cardinals, especially in that third quarter where I thought they won a couple of very important ground balls.
A good sign also marked for Wesleyan. Harry Stanton is back on the field. It appeared like he got slashed and took a tough one somewhere on the wrist or the forearm, but 16 in the red is back.
That's a huge sign for Wesleyan. And quite honestly, unless his arm falls off, I have to imagine Stanton is going to stay in this game.
As he plays in the finale of his career, he's graduating, or he has graduated with a psychology degree. There's a shot wide by Guesquire. Stanton already has a job lined up at AIG. John Raba's so proud of that fact that these guys are such great students. Of the 15 seniors, 12 have jobs already. Jake Cresta, the senior defenseman, he's off to medical school coming up next.
Pretty impressive. It's kind of what you would expect from an SCAC school. Tremendous lacrosse and even better academics. I feel like whoever scores the first goal of this quarter, it's going to go a long way towards the outcome of this game. If it's Wesleyan, I think that just gives them a lot more oomph. If it's Salisbury, it gives them confidence to continue to battle and chip away.
That's Hawthorne with the shot. Brandon Warren made the save as Hawthorne tried to go low to low. And there's another look by
I mean,
Ronan
Wesleyan has
Jacoby.
just controlled this game. They really have controlled this game, save for about a 6-8 minute stretch in the second quarter. The Cardinals have definitely controlled the pace of play. They've controlled tempo, and they've controlled possession. And they're out shooting Salisbury 2-1, 32-16 through 3 quarters.
And they have the first 3 of the fourth. Stanton. It's Hawthorne. And he's met back behind by Brad Apgar. Freshman defenseman just came on. Feed it. They looked to cut through the crease, and that was Jacoby. Jacoby appeared like he was not necessarily looking for the pass at that juncture, and that's a Wesleyan turnover.
Ill-advised pass right there. I thought it was maybe a step or two behind as Jacoby was open for a split second, but credit Salisbury with a nice check, creating a loose ball, and now they'll see. Now they'll see if they can get their 5th tally of this game and, again, reestablish a little bit of mojo.
Pompey will wait for Reynolds to come on. Melton to try to dodge up top. Now on the wing, Reynolds. Good feed inside of the shot missed. Quality look. That's Griff Maroney, the shooter for Salisbury.
I like how they're starting to get the ball into the interior of this Wesleyan defense. Bohan, though, they got to figure out a way to solve him. He's been pretty solid here in the second half.
The fewest goals Salisbury scored in the game this season. They were held to 6 against Chris Newport, and there's a shot from the perimeter. A chance to bust the zone. It's Maroney to cut it to 3.
I like how Salisbury is moving Maroney around to different locations on the interior of this Wesleyan defense. The shot that he missed just moments ago was pretty much right on the crease. This time he curls out, drags to the left, and he's about 8 to 10 yards off of the crease, and he shows his range. Nice release, high to low, beautiful placement. Maroney with a huge goal for Salisbury.
Griff Maroney attended the Hun School out of Califon, New Jersey. That's his 47th. He is their 4th leading scorer. As Jim Berkman says, when you watch him play, you would think he's from Canada, but he is from New Jersey.
He's American.
So Malamphy now in on the draw.
He is from Jersey, though. So,
yeah,
you know.
Different kinds of people, I think. Huh?
Different kind of American, right?
Yeah. Maroney had to sit and watch Carson Kalama put together a great senior year last year. He was his understudy, and a ground ball picked up there by Berry. And can Salisbury string together a couple of goals?
Yeah, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I thought the first marker of the fourth quarter was going to be telling and go a long way. Salisbury got it after defending Wesleyan for about 2.5 minutes, so we'll see if they can capitalize and continue to ride this wave of momentum.
Now Emery Wong is back on the field. He had the game-winning goal with 4 minutes left last week at Gettysburg as Salisbury came up with a terrific come from behind win on the road, 8-7. Maroney thought he had the slot to shoot from. Now they swing it to Wongus. The skip pass, high pass, thrown by Wongus. And Garrett Reynolds was all geared up to shoot. He could not bring it down.
Yeah, the ball just got away from Wongus on that one, and Reynolds just didn't really have an opportunity to catch up to it. That was a fastball coming when you were expecting a changeup.
Wesleyan will try to clear it through Andres Rodriguez. Rodriguez to carry. He led the NESCAC with 45 caused turnovers. And
Yeah,
Rodriguez looking for an outlet. Good job shutting off adjacent by Salisbury. They force a Wesleyan timeout.
Yeah, once Rodriguez got by the shorty, you're thinking, okay, and then the pole comes out. That's the time you want to burn that timeout. Save possession. You're up by 3, 9.5 minutes left to go. Good piece of coaching right there by John Raba.
First timeout called the second half for the Cardinals as they continue to nurse this 8-5 lead. Since 2012, Wesleyan has seen the growth of the sport in Connecticut. He has averaged more than 12 players from the state of Connecticut since 2012. This year he's got 13. So as the backyard improves, so does the house, as Wesleyan has been on some trek through the NESCAC. And their schedule, when you really look through what they had to go through this season, Mark, it was truly a gauntlet. Defeating RIT last week, winning at Tufts by a goal in the quarters. Cabrini was ranked 8th in the second round, and Cortland is a first-round matchup. Cortland was not too long ago that Cortland was competing for national championships. That's the first-round game, and then they lost to Tufts 12-9 in the NESCAC final. That's as hard as they can get, perhaps through a playoff run.
No doubt. I mean, you talk about team programs that have won national championships, Cortland and Tufts, and then RIT's been in a number of Division III national championship games. So this team is battle tested, and we thought that they might be a little nervous coming out in the beginning. They were not. We thought that they might not be able to handle the Salisbury run once the Seagulls were able to get their feet beneath of them. They weren't, and now they're in control of this game. They really are. With 9.5 minutes left to go, expect pressure. Salisbury's going to come out and really try to get after Wesleyan. They don't want them to be able to be comfortable and salt this game away. And this defense for Salisbury is big. They're athletic, and they certainly are very good at causing turnovers.
And that defense this season, playing the zone, allowing just a shade over 9 goals per game against that very difficult schedule. John Raba felt, we probably have the highest or the toughest schedule in the country, and then the different ways that they've proven to win. 19-18 last week, but they're very comfortable in playing the 8-7 game too.
Sure. We'll see the Wesleyan strategy offensively, and we're going to see the patience of the officials. 9:30 is when this play commenced. It's been a 30-second possession so far. Wesleyan has not attempted to go to goal, and we'll see how the officials decide the level of urgency with Wesleyan.
Barker thought about turning the corner and went outside to Turpin.
We're getting close to a shot clock right here. 45 seconds and no offense.
Hawthorne, as he plays keep away against Apgar, the freshman defenseman who had come on after the start of the game, and here's the timer on.
They gave him 1 minute 5 seconds.
Chance for a step down, Barker. And his stick was bothered. That was Berry that prevented the clean look.
14 seconds left in the shot clock for Wesleyan. Plenty of time.
Final 10 seconds. Stanton could not get topside. Nowesnik all over his hands. 5 seconds left, and he has to throw it on goal. Warren making the save, and Salisbury comes up with a defensive stand.
Well, that was about minute 40. Take it off the clock right there. I'm not real good at math, so I'm trying to.
No, you're correct.
Take the 0, carry the 1, all
Your
that good
Loyola
stuff.
education has paid off. Meanwhile, Pompey off the face dodge. And the other thing that has happened, Mark, is you typically hear more about attacking zones in basketball, scoring before the defense or the zone can get set. Here is Reynolds, and Salisbury has not even had a glimpse of transition, and now they turn it over behind.
Well, the unfortunate part of that is Wesleyan wasn't set. You saw the 6th defender coming into the restraining box, into the defensive zone late, and Reynolds just looked like he lost his footing, lost his balance and sends that ball out of bounds. So that is an unfortunate break for Salisbury.
Scott Irwin, second midfield, will come up with the clear. Product out of Garden City, New York on the island. As he shifts his way through. And he'll stay on for a second midi run.
Excellent clear. I've been impressed all game long with the short sticks of Wesleyan clearing. I tell young players all the time, as a midfielder, your number one job is to get the ball from defense to offense. Pick up ground balls, play defense, and clear it.
Barker, this time Pompey remaining in defensive lane. Hawthorne against Apgar, who Jim Burton praised as perhaps the next great defenseman in the program. 33 in yellow. Jacoby trying to shoulder through the D-Midi Leclerc. Ronan Jacoby again. Steps through, shooting. Warren with a fine stop. And the ground ball picked up and gobbled up by Nowesnik.
Huge save by Warren. And then a terrific outlet pass. Salisbury has numbers.
They get a transition look and a finish from Pompey.
It starts with the defense. Tremendous save by Brandon Warren. That could have been a goal. This is a 2-goal turnaround. And then the slow break. Excellent recognition by number 42, Jeremiah Leclerc. And he's got the trailer, Pompey. And Pompey has shown terrific range in this game. He just posts up with a high-to-low bouncer that beats Bohan. And the Gauls have crawled to back it within 2.
Jim Berkman brought him in as a high school attackman, but every day he does something that makes you say, wow. That was one of them. He has continued to grow. He visited as a junior at 5'11", 150, and he has added size and then shooting mechanics to boot. That's his second of the game. Leclerc on the assist. And a 2-goal game with 5:37 remaining.
This is gut check time for Wesleyan. They've played with a ton of energy and a ton of emotion right now in this game, and right now they've got to be worried and aware of the defending national champion Salisbury Seagulls in the midst of a run.
This one popped back. Zavalik had a chance. Barry the pickup.
Good pickup by Barry. Critical, important ground ball.
And the lead ahead. It was unsettled a bit. Gwynn tried to return it back to Stevens, and the pass was knocked down. What an opportunity. And Ben Shively, the breakup, and the honorable mention All-American got it ahead.
That's the second time we've seen Gwynn short arm a pass here in the second half. And then that one gets right into the stick of Shively. Tremendous play. And Gwynn wasn't able to redefend or drop back and ride because his head of his stick fell off. So an equipment malfunction takes him out of the play, but nice play by Shively.
Wesleyan can work the clock down to the 4.5-minute mark, protecting a 2-goal lead. Gesquire shooting. And the big guy got a good look, shooting left-handed.
That was a quality opportunity, and that's going to take the pressure off of Wesleyan in terms of the shot clock. I think they just bought themselves at least another minute if they want to be that patient. But look at the defensive pressure being applied by Salisbury. They are in the shorts of the Cardinals.
This time Parker Stevens trying to apply the pressure. Salisbury for many years has had great short stick D-middies.
One timeout remaining as well for Wesleyan, so if John Raba feels like his guys are in trouble, he can make that timeout call.
Hawthorne had Stanton inside. Stanton, I think, has not taken a shot in this second half following getting banged on the wrist. Thought about this one. Off the hitch, then shoots. Warren to save, and he's able to sit on the ball, preventing it from crossing the goal line.
Great play. And I liked how Warren was on his keister and then just didn't try to get up too quickly. A lot of times goaltenders make a save like that. The ball's right behind him, and they kick it in. Did a great job of locating it, clamped the ball, and then was able to get it up. And now Salisbury's going to want a timeout.
Pompey, as he got into the box, timeout Salisbury, their first of the half, facing a critical possession, trailing by a pair with 3:10 to go. What a finish here at Gillette coming up. The Division II national game is still to come. Merrimack will seek their first national championship, and they're only about 50 miles away here from Gillette Stadium, so they should have a great presence.
They were here last year,
St. Leo's.
Gave Limestone all they could handle, but the Warriors, they're going to have to try to take down the Floridians, St. Leo's. But man, I tell you, that's going to be a great game. But we've got 3:10 left to go here in this one. I think Jim Berkman, look for Gwynn to figure into this equation. Also, trying to work the perimeter, get that Wesleyan defense extended out a little bit, and look for the quick kick inside to Maroney. Maroney's had some success this half, getting open and getting some shots off and scoring goals.
2 goals apiece for Corey Gwynn and Zach Pompey on the midfield for Salisbury. Maroney and Melton with the other 2. Otto Bohan, 9 saves in goal for Wesleyan. Wesleyan has doubled up Salisbury in the shots, 40-19. When you face a zone, you expect the team that's facing it to maybe have the overwhelming amount of shots. Not in this case.
No, and that's just because Bohan's made several clean saves. Also, Wesleyan has controlled the ball offensively. They've done a great job of moving it, possessing it, making the Salisbury defense work, and they've really made Salisbury work for their shots. Wesleyan hasn't really, other than the goal at the end of the first quarter, Wesleyan has not given up anything cheap.
Salisbury has trailed by 4 goals twice. They climbed within a goal at 4-3 midway through the second on Corey Gwynn's second. And they'll start it in the stick of Griffin Maroney. Pompey will whip it back behind to Melton, and Armstrong will move it along. Garrett Reynolds. Reynolds tried to walk through several defenders and turns it over. But then the good ride will get the ball back. It was jarred free by Gwynn. And a bit unsettled, Pompey couldn't haul it in. It's kicked forward, and it'll skip it to Hawthorne. And the battle ensues. Salisbury still with a timeout. So does Wesleyan, and it's finally one-handed up off the turf by Reynolds.
The basics eluding Salisbury, just catching and throwing, but credit their ride and their hustle in getting that ball back.
Pompey. Rodriguez comes up with a double, and here comes the flag.
It's the right call. It's the right call. It's unfortunate because the Wesleyan defender looked like he was going to hit Pompey from the side, but Pompey didn't pick up the ground ball cleanly, and he gets run right up his back. Easy call by the officials.
It's a 30-second foul. Salisbury is 0 for 2 on man up. With 2:05 to go, this is it. The face-off situation has been very close. It's 9-8. Wesleyan. The Seagulls look for their biggest shot and look of the game. It comes from Maroney. Armstrong to reset. 10 seconds to go on the man up. Another good look from the outside. This time it was Jarrett Bromwell.
And you can see Wesleyan really sucking down low. They want those outside shots from Salisbury. They feel like Bohan can make those saves.
Bromwell again. And time has expired. 3 shots in the man up for Salisbury. And all 3 from the perimeter.
Yeah, and that's confidence in their netminder to come up with those big saves by letting guys rip it from 13, 15 yards on the extra man.
Reynolds on the sweep. 2-man game for Melton off of his stick. Armstrong to scoop. And is able to locate an outlet. Bromwell on the approach. He'll fire. Stop made by Bohan. He races to the corner. And backup goes to Maroney.
Minute 3. I like how Bohan didn't try to run that out once he realized that he wasn't going to get to the end line, because it would have been an empty net on the restart.
Bromwell took a tough skip pass and pushed that wide. He's just a freshman. Jim Berkman says he's got the hardest shot on the team, a cannon righty. Bromwell with 3 looks on this possession. This time it's Gwynn. And the assault continues.
They're just not putting it on frame. And when they did put it on frame, Bohan made that save. I thought Wesleyan was going to call a timeout, try to get a fresh unit in defensively.
Shot by Maroney blocked. And the one-hand pickup. Gwynn was knocked down.
The Academy Award goes to a little bit of acting right there.
Maroney's shot could not be hockey sticked in. Was he pushed in?
It's a push.
And it will remain with Salisbury. With 26.3 to go, they still have hope.
Salisbury's going to use their second and final timeout.
It's nearly a 3-minute long possession for Salisbury, including a 30-second man up. A series of shots, mostly high, against Otto Bohan.
They've been ripping it, and they just haven't put them on frame. And when they did, Bohan made that save. But that's Wesleyan's MO right now, whereas before, they were pressing out, being very aggressive on the perimeter. It looks like Wesleyan is now content to pack it in a little bit more and make Salisbury beat them with essentially 3-point shots, long-range shots. And that is showing a lot of confidence in your goaltender.
15 seniors for Wesleyan look for one final stop. They hope to see a comeback to continue this latest great Salisbury run.
If you are Salisbury, though, you got to put the ball in cage. You got to put it on frame. Make Bohan make saves.
And Bohan only credited with just 1 save during that sequence. That was the shot by Bromwell.
Yeah, probably about 7 or 8 shots, 1 save, and that was the one that was on the 6x6.
Wesleyan led 4-1 at the end of 1 and 5-3 at the half. Their defense that has been a terrific zone defense for so long. And now John Raymond feels we're bringing in kids we've really wanted. Kids, especially the senior class, that are all in. Their scout team works really hard for one another to push these seniors, and they're just a half minute away.
Look for Bromwell up top, number 6, to get a rip.
It is Bromwell. No shooting alley. Jarrett Bromwell has to rip. It's a bouncer that was deflected into the stick of Bohan. Wesleyan is just a clear away as they will race back behind their goal. The ball is out of bounds. Salisbury will have it with just a half second remaining. The celebration can begin for Wesleyan for the first time. They are national champions. The Cardinals can hoist a trophy. They upend the 2-time defending champs, Salisbury, at Foxborough.
It's pure elation on the part of the Wesleyan Cardinals. Look at it. That's what they came to claim here in Foxborough, that national championship trophy. They've got it. The Wesleyan Cardinals, what a great game. Started out quick, absorbed a Salisbury run, and then closed with a run of their own, topped off by a defensive stand over the last 2 minutes that saw Salisbury uncork several shot scoring opportunities. But in the end, it's Wesleyan that is hoisting the gold.
The dream season was supposed to be last year before they had their hearts broken by RIT and were humbled. But they came back this season through the gauntlet of a schedule, losing against Tufts, then to go through Cortland, Cabrini, to see Tufts again, to see RIT again, and then to run into Salisbury, the two-time defending champs. The Wesleyan Cardinals truly earned it in 2018. 8-6 is the final. Harry Stanton, in his final game, closes his marvelous career with 2 goals and an assist, and perhaps even a broken bone in his hand. Taylor Gesquire with a pair, Carter Hawthorne with 2 and 1. Corey Gwynn and Zach Pompey with a pair of goals to lead Salisbury. Gillette Stadium sees Wesleyan celebrate. We will carry the trophy presentation here on NCAA.com. Then Mark and I will be back with you right about at the top of the hour at 4 o'clock Eastern Time to bring you the Division II National Championship game with St. Leo's taking on Merrimack. We'll have a new champion in Division II and a first-timer no matter what. Congratulations to Wesleyan. The trophy belongs to you. We'll be back and speak to you about 4 o'clock on NCAA.com.